Here's why Steve Harvey might call it quits. Steve Harvey is on so many shows that it's impossible to count them all, isn't it? From Family Feud to Little Big Shots, he's everywhere. News recently broke that NBC has given Steve the boot from his usual time slot with no notice, and Steve is planning an announcement or two of his own. Could this be the end of a decades-long career in the show business? Could Steve Harvey really be pulling the plug and throwing in the towel? It certainly wouldn't be a surprise. Join us as we take a look at why Steve Harvey might call it quits. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos about your favorite movies and TV shows. Kelly-Clarkson feud.
What does jumping mean to you?
Exercise, but I don't.
Steve has been a staple on NBC for years, so when the network announced plans to bump him to a different time slot and give his current slot to a singer-turned-talk show host Kelly Clarkson, the comedian wasn't impressed. The 61-year-old told Variety that he was under the impression he was going to stay with the network until they announced that they would be giving the slot to Clarkson. Harvey's main beef was that no one personally told him that anything was going to change. They simply announced it to the world and didn't bother to inform him. "I'm just an old school guy," Steve went on to say. "I just thought that you're supposed to talk to people and just go, look, you've been good business for us. This is what we're thinking of doing. Are you okay with that?" On the back of the announcement made by NBC, Steve says he's planning to reveal his own big surprise, but he hasn't yet elaborated any further than that. We can't really blame Steve for wanting to jump ship from a network that clearly doesn't value him, but could this spell the beginning of the end? Daytime TV is dying. When it comes to daytime TV, there are quite a few talk shows out there. There's Steve's BFF, Dr. Phil, Ellen DeGeneres, and Wendy Williams. But even Steve himself has admitted that daytime TV is dying. The rumor mill is currently running wild with speculation that the Wendy Williams show is coming to an end due to Williams' health issues. Although this hasn't been confirmed yet, and if you've watched any of our other videos, you'll know that Dr. Phil is constantly under fire for his unorthodox methods. Could the world at large be getting bored of watching celebrities and common folk airing their issues on our screens? After all, this is 2019, and our lives are more hectic than ever. Does anyone have time to sit down and watch everyone else's drama? If Steve is right, then there soon won't be a place for him or any of his contemporaries on our screens at all anymore. Plus, with the rise of TV streaming services like Netflix, networks like NBC and ABC could soon find themselves without the precious ad revenue that they need to survive. He can't cope.
I was sold somewhere else. Use your hand.
Being famous can seem like a pretty good gig, can't it? Sure, you can't go out in public without being recognized, but the millions of dollars and the ability to buy whatever you want might make up for that. However, with such hectic schedules, stars can get burnt out pretty easily. At 61 years old, Harvey may have just reached the end of his tether. Back in 2017, a memo that Steve sent to staff working on the show was leaked, and it showed a different side to the Family Feud star. The note was less than polite, reading, "Do not approach me while I'm in the makeup chair unless I ask to speak to you directly. I want all the ambushing to stop now. That includes TV staff. You must schedule an appointment. I have been taken advantage of by my lenient policy in the past. This ends now. No more." Wow. That's some pretty scary stuff. And it didn't end there. The funny man went on to say that if any member of staff dared to open his door, they could expect to be thrown out by the security guards that would be stationed outside of his dressing room, for the good of my personal life and enjoyment. When the news broke, Steve confirmed that he did send the memo, but he wasn't about to apologize for the content. Could the pressure be getting too much for him? There's no way up.
Which of the 7 dwarfs describes your wife in bed?
Steve is pretty much at the height of his TV career, despite NBC dumping him without a moment's notice. He still has Little Big Shots and Family Feud under his belt, making him one of the biggest TV personalities of the moment. But when you're already at the top, the only place you can go is down. Family Feud has enjoyed high ratings for the past few years, with an average of 7 million viewers tuning in to watch the family game show every week. As a showman, Steve enjoys what he does, but has expressed his need to be creatively challenged previously. Talking to Entertainment Tonight, he said, "I need to be constantly on the up, thinking about what I'm going to do next. As an entertainer, you're always looking for that next high. I can't ever imagine myself being fully satisfied staying in one place." If Steve can't keep up seeking out new opportunities and pushing the envelope, maybe he'll go the other way and take an early retirement. It's not like he can't afford it. He'll push it too far.
How to Date a White Woman, a practical guide for Asian men.
Like many comedians, Steve has been known to take his jokes a little too far. Back in 2017, he made some comments on his talk show about Asian men, claiming that no woman would want to date them.
Do you like Asian men? No. Thank you.
The joke wasn't even funny and caused some serious backlash from the Asian community. But it wasn't the first or last time that Steve would put his foot in it. He made some insensitive comments about the Flint water crisis when talking to a caller from Flint, telling him to go and have a nice glass of brown water. The mayor of the city called him out, saying he was making light of an extremely serious situation, but Harvey said it was simply a joke. In April of last year, Steve came under fire yet again for defending his wife's use of the R word. Mrs. Harvey posted a video to her Instagram account where she told her followers that her husband thought she was retarded for not being able to chop a beat. The comment section exploded with users calling her out for the use of the word, and Steve stepped in defending her. "It's a word, ain't it?" he wrote, striking out at all the people asking Marjorie to rethink using the word in the future. Some said that she was suggesting those that are afflicted are stupid or less than. "She ain't talking about nobody but herself to me," Steve went on to say. "What she was doing was just that, and she ain't saying it about nobody's baby." With comments like that, Steve might not have much of a fan base to perform for if he carries on. Just look at what happened to Kevin Hart. Words are forever. The Me2 Movement.
Miss Universe 2015 is Colombia.
While Steve hasn't been accused of anything untoward, the Me2 movement is a full force at the moment, and it's not just about unwarranted sexual advances. The focus on gender equality has never been stronger, but that might put Steve in a tricky position. He's the host of the Miss Universe pageant, of which he famously crowns the wrong winner in 2015, which often faces scrutiny for judging women based on their level of beauty.
I have to apologize. The first runner-up is Colombia.
While it's true that steps have been made in the last few years to make sure an emphasis is placed on personality too, it's still a pretty dated competition that doesn't sit right with a lot of people. Not only could his involvement with the pageant make him take a step back, but Steve also launched a dating site in 2014 to help women become more dateable. According to Harvey, dating for women is harder than dating for men because they're all concerned about their biological clock, something a lot of feminists would dispute. There are also handy columns that tell women how they can be their best selves and make men want relationships with them, which, let's face it, doesn't exactly sound pro-female. It could be just a matter of time before this catches up with Steve and he's forced to take a career break to reevaluate his attitudes. Divorce drama. Marjorie is Steve's third wife, so it's not like he's got a great track record when it comes to making marriages work. In the middle of last year, Radar Online published claims that Marjorie had walked out over her concerns that Steve was getting too close to the world's most famous momager, Kris Jenner. The pair had been friends for years, but sources claimed that Chris seemed to be spending more time talking to Harvey than previously. Jenna rebuked the comments, saying that she was simply pursuing Steve for business advice on how to expand her already huge empire. But it still didn't stop speculation that the talk show host was facing a $400 million divorce settlement. A former employee spoke to the online gossip site, saying that Marjorie was all too aware of her hubby's wandering eye and love of woman. After all, he left his first wife while she was pregnant to move in with Mary Shackelford, who he then married. Then, when he met Marjorie in 2005, he left Mary. That's not a pattern that can be easily ignored, is it? No wonder Marjorie is so worried about her man upping sticks and leaving her. If that was to happen, Steve would be in some serious financial trouble, which often leads to personal breakdowns. That's a scandal he might not be able to come back from that could see him bow out of the biz for good. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content, and don't forget to check out one of the other 2 videos on your screen.